This week on Hermit.
BOO, I will still be the bigger man.
Challenge you and bring your doctor, bring your caveman, and bring your bearded Canadian if you so wish.
That you accept this challenge, BOO. Viva la revolution!
Are we back? Have we been hacked? Zloy, I told you 12345 is a terrible password. Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixelriffs, our writer is ZloyXP, and dang it, we just had a week where we turned down the drama and then this happens. Anyway, more on that in the NHO section of the recap. For now, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week.
Oh, good luck. Squither.
Okay, who played God again? Tango, we're looking at you.
But the legend says his bubbles suck the life right out of you. Bubbles!
Actually, the Squid the Boss fight was achieved thanks to a resource pack created by our old friend Denator Games, who also made the Hermitcraft Season 5 and Hermitcraft Recap logos, as well as the hilarious Hermitcraft Abridged video, a link to which you can find in the iCards. At the same time, this freak of nature might be a revenge on Tango for co-building the biggest Wither skeleton farm on the server, along with Impulse SV. The derp at its finest, ladies and gentlemen, bringing you only the best plus-shaped farms that money could buy. When he's not exacting his ultimate revenge on magma cubes, Impulse builds a giant sea lantern double helix inside his already pretty epic hourglass, because when you've got a guardian farm, everywhere looks like a good place for a sea lantern.
Look at how amazing this looks at night. How awesome. I love all the little lighting effects that are going on underneath the platform there.
iJevin is slowly getting there with his ocean monument, which now has a giant guardian face sticking out of it. So this time it's Azuma's lawyers that have their pants in a twist, seeing as how the Octavoid from last season also had a giant guardian face. CUBFAN, over at his own copyright infringing monument, clears out the remnants of the original temple and turns the underwater part of it into a guardian farm, later abducting several axe murderers from XP Crafted's mansion for future mob chopping purposes. With them out of the way, XP can finally build that staircase he's always wanted, and he has a good reason to get to the top floor because his parrots now have a fancy aviary complete with armor stand perches. To better blend in with the parrots, he gets himself a pair of wings, so very inconspicuous. At least they make it easier for him to reach the end cities. While he's there, he might want to drop by Biffa's place, which is becoming more and more welcoming now that half the island is Enderman-proofed. In fact, the End is becoming a more and more popular holiday destination as Etho also decides to get himself some Elytra and head out in search of glory and shulker boxes. With the dragon not dropping wings reliably, he borrows a set from Wells Knight, and that's where everything goes wrong. At the very least, they get themselves some fresh gear after Etho doubles down and borrows some more Elytra from B-dubs. If only he'd had some way to 3D print shulker boxes, this whole thing could have been avoided. Oh well. Presumably they'll end up being a vital component of the next Nexus, or the Nextus, if you will. Speaking of, Zedaf now has his own shulker box storage sorter, except it's actually just Tango's design, but his chests are replaced with shulker corpses.
Oh, I like to shake my maracas. My maracas are made for shaking.
Bumbo Mumbo's shulker box collection is suddenly reunited after the random number generator inside B-dub's head forces B-dubs to return the redstone box to its rightful owner.
Anyway, I really appreciate the gift of all the redstone stuff, but I think it would be better off in your hands. One time a TNT just went off right in my hand.
Unable to reverse engineer Tango's sorter, Mumbo instead plans out the visual design of his giant storage ring in Creative. Back on the server, he drops underwater tunnels from the outline of his base and assembles a nether portal room, all made with guardian fishy bits because once again, when you have a hammer, everything else looks like a nail. Similarly, Azuma had a water bucket, so drowning his base was the most natural thing to do. No, of course, the water was temporarily placed there to get rid of the rest of the mycelium on his mushroom island. He had to be careful not to splash any of the insane redstone noodles he placed for the storage system, and again, did he really need a whole separate storage room just for the dyes and coloured blocks? Yes he did. You don't mix multicoloured stuff with planes. Have you ever used a washing machine? Rendog chooses a safer way and just covers his mycelium with concrete powder. And yes, Rendog is still doing redstone and farms, connecting all his farms to the storage system with icy item pathways and trying to make a passive mushroom cow farm, hence the mycelium spawn proofing. Surprisingly, none of that ends up blowing up in his face.
Feels weird that we're
Oh my lord! Oh my lord! There's my brothers. They're everywhere. Oh my word! Don't do it.
Oh my goodness!
There are no shortage of things blowing up when Python and False face off in the season's first Aber caving duel. Apparently the creepers want their share of the winnings. The seismic activity seems to cause a crack way over at Iskal's base because now the island is pierced with steaming Iskalium-filled ravines, both as a reference to the previous season and as a neat way of testing out the glass fog effect. Apparently, Iskal wanted to use this multi-layered glass fog trick in the Nether Hub. Sadly, after Stress and he spend several hours making it, the effect is barely visible due to YouTube compression. I actually built a nether floor like that over on the Division server. Great minds think alike and all that. Back at her swamp, Stress finally embraces the swamplands and sets up a boat-based transportation system, by which I mean it's a dispenser and a button.
There's a boat, in we get, and we face the wrong way. Is that always a thing? That's always going to be a thing because the stupid dispenser faces that way, right?
JOEHILLS doesn't need a boat dispenser, not just because his bay is already filled with them, but because he's mostly landlocked these days. After grabbing some soul sand to uglify the basement of Death House, he starts framing out the walls of Castle Ravenloft. The server will have its dungeons soon, so where are my dragons? TFC's castle walls seem to have paused for the moment because he's been suffering from migraines, but he seems determined to give himself an even worse headache by continuing to work with villagers. At least he gets out of his backyard long enough to visit the countryside, by which we mean XB's mansion. Finally, Vintage Beef's backyard gets a makeover this week as he tears out the vegetable patch and rearranges things to make access to the map room a little easier. And with all that covered, let's go to the NHO portion of the revolution! Dang it, are we that easy to hack? This week, Iskal has been broadcasting the Revolution's latest message to anybody who will listen, although of course the intended recipient is BOO. It's the discovery of the Revolutionists' camp by Scar and Cub that set him off. Well, that and the fact that they attempted to burn the whole thing to the ground, which went very well on a server with Firetick off.
Whatever you guys want, it is yours.
I want a cat head. Also, I want the orange cat and the black and white cat. I don't have those. I've tried. I can't. They just won't come to me. So yeah,
Okay.
that's my first request. I'll get back to you on some more things. Cub?
That was a long list.
Also,
though,
I'd like
of,
parrots. I tried to get parrots. They left me. I'm still sad about that.
B-Dubs reacts to the challenge by literally posting a reaction video. Very fine, brothers. On the other side of the opposition, Wells Knight continues to work on the OHO Nether headquarters, putting together his own twist on the NHO Jungle map room. Elsewhere in the Nether, B-Dubs decides to do a bit of much-needed cleanup around the NHO's Nether portal, but it doesn't go exactly as planned. And in a more peaceful corner of the jungle, Doc M is making preparations to go on holiday, which includes setting up overflow storage for his OP carrot farm, building a minecart-powered pumpkin and melon farm, and B-Dubs proofing his villager breeder. And that's just about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP and my name is PixelRiffs. If you don't want to trek 20,000 blocks for a mansion, why not build the one I made in this week's tutorial video? Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, share this video with the Hermitcraft fans in your life, and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes of the recap. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.